Today on Homebrew Terrain, we're going to continue on in the Cursed City by building a giant piece of hazard for your guys to fall into, because why wouldn't we?
Hey, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Homebrew Terrain.
So again, we're just going to start with the lid of a cardboard box. This is literally just a cardboard box lid. I just cut it off, and there it was. This is a smaller box, so it fit the little shape better. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on here like this and measure it out with my little dealio here. Line it up on the square edge, which is this side. Ooh, look for that square edge, because the square edge is pretty. So we're going to go ahead and draw a line here like that, and a line here like that. Yippee skippy pumpkin pie. Now, this is going to be a little bit longer than this one, because you see, this one here is going to be, there's going to be the tile, then there's going to be the hazard, and then there's going to be the tile. So what we need to do is create basically a 4 square and a 4 square, two separately, which we're going to do. And then we're going to have a step up and another set of stairs, and then another step up, which will be the hazard platform. And then we'll be able to cut a hole in that and do some cool stuff. So here's what I mean. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure 1.5 inches, because that's what we do. So there we go. Now I got the lovely grid pattern on there. And I take the skizzers and I skizzer it. And now the way I want this to work is you're going to have these 4 be on the ground. No, I'm doing that wrong. So I'm cutting it into 4s, and that's going to be a step up. And then we'll have an extra step here, I guess. So here we have it, where I've cut little 4 squares. So there's 4 here and there's 4 here. And these are going to be the platforms across the top. So basically, it's going to be this part here and this part here, but I've blown it out by 2 more squares. Just because I want to, I don't know, make it bigger. So it'll look like, when we're done here, it's going to look like this as far as the squares are concerned. And I'll use this one here because you can see it better. So it's going to look like this and this, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this piece here in the middle where the actual hazard is. So you could do something like this, and then take, because I can see you look confused. So you could take the X-Acto knife here and just stripe it along that line. So you don't want to cut through the cardboard entirely, just enough to make it so that you can fold it down like that. Ta-da! See? You with me? And then you fold this side down, and then you do the same thing here. And fold it down, boom. And then you just glue those edges together, and bingo, you have an instant platform. And that's exactly what we're going for here. Or you can do it the way I just did it here, where you take one piece, you just keep gluing it all the way around. Which, you know, this is a better way to do it. Do it this way. All right. Okay, so you looked confused at the stairs. So this is what I was saying about the stairs. So basically what I did was I had the two platform pieces here, right? So this is the top of the stairs. So if you see this one here, oh, here we go, look at this one. as an example, this is the top part of the stairs, right? This is the front piece that's going to fold down, and this will fold out, and then these will fold down on either side. So allow me to show you what I mean by simply taking it like this, thusly, and taking my X-Acto knife. Some people call this a hobby knife. I call it an X-Acto knife. Anyway, because that's the company that when I was a kid, these used to be called X-Acto, the X-Acto company. And there was an X-Acto knife, so that's why I call it that. I don't even know if it's still called that. I haven't seen an X-Acto knife in a long time. But anyway, some people call it a scalpel, and I thought that was interesting, because I thought doctors used a different tool for that, but whatever. And anyway, you're going to cut into the cardboard, but not all the way. Just a little bit, yeah. Okay, so then we're just going to fold it. We're just going to fold it like this, and we're going to fold it like that. See how well that folds? See, just like that. We're just gonna fold it down, and then we're gonna do the same thing on all the other sides. So we're gonna stripe it. I call this striping, where you don't cut all the way through, just enough to make the cardboard fold like this. And then you can do it here too. But you gotta be careful when you're cutting with the striation. See, like that. So you'll notice that the cardboard has striations. We talked about this in some of my other videos, where the lines that form the corrugation of the cardboard, right? So when you're dealing with striation of cardboard, if you're cutting across the striation of the lines or the corrugation, if you're cutting across that, it's a little easier when you're doing this to kind of stripe it through. But when you're cutting with the corrugation, it's really simple to just and then slice it all the way through. And you don't really want to slice it all the way through, but in this particular case, along with a lot of other times, if you do cut it all the way through, just simply glue it back on. It's not a big deal. It's not like this is, structurally sound or anything. Now, in this particular case, we wanted to fold this the other way. So this one folds down like this. Let me put it on camera. It's just hard to find the new camera. When this one folds down like this line right here is going to fold this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here like this, and I'm going to mark it on this side. Ooh, look at me marking. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing right here on this side. Ooh, like that. Okay, and I'm going to use my Ruly Tooly. And I'm going to do that same kind of stripey stripe that I did before, but I'm going to do it on this side so that it's on the wrong side of the thing. And the reason I'm doing it on this side is because I want to bend it that way. See what I did there? See how I did that? Oh, look at that! It's an accordion fold. Anyway, so this is why I do it that way. So now I can fold all these down like this, and it makes a little box. See the box? Isn't that a cute little box? And it's got the little flappy on the side. Look at the flappy. Okay, and these are the bottom stairs, and these are the top stairs. And this is just the thing. And what you can do, since these are all four, the squares are, so like, see how this is 4 squares here? And this is 4 squares there. The vertical ones aren't going to matter. Well, they kind of do, but not really. So, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be off just a little kind of, but not much. So you're gonna glue it all together and glue it on top of one of these guys here, and that'll give you the stabilizations that you need. You'll make it much more sturdy that way. One of the other things that's really important to point out is the corrugation on this is going this way, and the corrugation on this is going this way. You want to turn it this way, so the corrugation is going this way on this one, and it's going this way on this one. That'll make it a lot stronger. Okay, then I'm just gonna hot glue all this together. So then you can see, I'm just gonna hot glue it. And stick it on here like that. Ta-da! And that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. But yeah, if you wanted to, you can have the hazard going this way, and then you can have the stairs right here on this side instead, so they have it go up and around that way. That's one way to do it. Or you can have it this way and make it a linear thing. Or you could have the stairs on this side over here and the stairs on this side over here, and then make it like a zigzag thing. However you want to do it. Or even better, you could have the stairs on both sides going like this and this, and make it so that they have to go over the hazard to get to the next set of whatever. It's entirely up to you if you want to do it that way. I'm just going to glue it straight on and make it a straight piece, just because for now, that's how I want it to roll. But I know how to do this, so I can make it any way I want to. Alright, and I can make 100 more look just like it. Cost me, whatever cardboard I have lying around. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so at this point, this is what I've created, right? So here's the platform and the steps going up. And as you can see, if this is kind of the tile that we were starting from here, we're gonna add at least 3 more steps on this side and 3 more steps on this side. So this is going to become a really big tile. Now, and this is important to talk about. The reason why these tiles don't get much bigger than this, they're also reversible, but the reason why these things don't get that much bigger than this tile right here is because if you have too many super huge tiles on the table, then very rapidly you run out of table. That's kind of one of the cool things about the Cursed City is that they have these little door sets that you can place everywhere. So making these stairs right here modular so that they can move around anywhere would be really, really a good idea. I didn't do it because I don't care. But in the future, yeah, everything I do from here on out, though, the stairs are definitely going to be modular. Here's a set of stairs that I made for a piece, this piece here. This is a room that we'll be working on here in a little while, but this is the stairs that go to it. And so, as you can see, I made them detachable so that I can put these stairs anywhere I need to help keep the flow of the map as the characters are moving across the tiles in a more fluid way. So keeping the stairs modular, keeping the rooms modular, these things are super important to helping minimize the amount of map space that you're going to need. Now, this is mostly for like the hunt missions and stuff like that. When you're doing the other missions where like the endless spell is eating the tiles as you go, that's pretty cool because it'll remove these as you put them on the table. And really, that's kind of what I was thinking about when I started making this, was like, yeah, well, you know what, the endless spell would hit this and just eat it anyway, and then the whole hazardous piece will just go away, rather than just taking off the stairs or taking off this part of and then you've got something falling into muck and there still hasn't. No, so I'm going to make it all one big huge tile. And it is going to be a relatively large tile because I've got, if you look at the actual square spaces, you know, you've got eight squares right here between the 2 steps. There's got 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. There's going to be 4 on the other side and 2 in the middle. You know, that's a big tile. And so you want to be careful with that. You don't make too much of a good thing, right? And we'll discuss that more as you kind of see this laying out. Like, I'll do like a little layout later on, and you'll be able to see it more and understand it better. If you've never played a dungeon crawl kind of game like Hero Quest or Warhammer Quest before, then yeah, you'll start to understand really quickly. If you have played these games before, then I'm positive you already know what I'm talking about. You know, pretty soon you start running out of table and tiles and stuff. You have to start shifting things around. That was kind of a problem that you had with the Silver Tower. I say kind of. Because in that one, you know, the rooms were different. If you left one room and went back to the other, but they didn't ever go away. So as time goes on, then it just gets crazier and crazier, and the table gets more and more full. And though, to be honest, I kind of like that though, because I love to see a big, huge dungeon on my table as my guys are just crawling around through it. That's kind of fun. You know. Yeah, but especially in something like this game where the enemies just keep coming and keep coming, it's really hard to if you overload the map and you make it too big, then you're gonna get overwhelmed really quickly. Like as far as I'm concerned, the map size is a part of the difficulty factor. If you want to increase the difficulty factor for this game, just make a bigger map and have to get through a bigger map. And the longer you stay on the table, the more damage you take, the more bad stuff happens, the more opportunity for bad stuff happens, and your game can get really, really complicated really, really fast. So having a bigger tile piece that's just there and it's a one and done has its merits. So just something to think about. Anyway, so moving on from here, I'm going to do the same thing to this side here that I did to this side here. And then I'm going to start showing you how I'm going to add the hazard. Oh, yeah, and then we're going to need all the bricking and tile work for that, too. So, yeah, we're going to get there. Here I have a chunk of waffle box. The frozen waffles. So, what I did was I simply lined up a piece of thing with the box like this, right? So, you see these black lines on the back? you'll see that they stick up just a little bit right here. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold them. I want it to stick up a little bit higher than the box itself, like this, right? So there's gonna be a little lip area right there. And then I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna fold them. And this is gonna be the basis for almost the entire wall piece. But I'm just gonna fold these waffle boxes. And I actually did stripe these with the X-Acto knife like I did to the other cardboard. Right along there, and then right along there. And then you'll see that there's actually another one right here. Now this little thing right here is important to talk about. This is the a tab that I created so it will glue into right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half like this. And since, remember what I told you about the shiny side and the not shiny side, the printed, not printed, do we need to go over that again? Because we'll talk about that. This is the printed side. This is a not printed side. This is printed, not printed, printed, not printed. Okay, good. Now we're gonna fold it. Oh, reverse these. That's right. We're gonna reverse that fold, and we're gonna do this with it. Like a these. Really, what I'm doing here is I'm creating a small little lipped platform for the popsicle sticks that we're going to be using in a minute to glue onto. Okay, and I'm going to run that edge all the way around, but I want it to be hollow in the middle because that's where the hazard's going to be. Okay, so then we're going to fold it under like this. See, there's a thing like that. So we're folding it under like this, and then we're going to fold that little tab piece under like this. Okay, enough of that. All right, like that. You feeling me? All right, and then we're just gonna glue this like that. So we're gonna put glue along in here. We're gonna put glue along in here, and then we're gonna glue that to there. Boof, and we're gonna have a little piece like this. Then we need to get to fill up this piece here and that piece there. I probably should have done that already. I should have just left a piece here and here that I could fold down and do the same thing that I did here, but I forgot to do that. But we'll remember to do that on the next ones. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have this piece here, and then I'm going to have this sticking up like that. Oh, see how that lip just sticks up like that? Isn't that cool? That's amazing, isn't it? Okay. And then I'm going to have a wall here like this, and then another one over here connected to the other set of stairs. And then we're going to have this like little empty area right here, and we're going to put some popsicle sticks across it, and then we're going to make it look all dangerous and scary and put nails and spikes and skaven hands and things, kind of like, you know, whatever. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. I'll show you how that works. Here we go. This is I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. Ooh, look at me go. All right, here we go. I'm going to take this right here. And no, you can use like Elmer's glue for this. You don't have to use hot glue, but I'm going to use hot glue because I'm a glutton for punishment. And the reason I say I'm glutton for punishment, this has no thermal protection to it at all. You think it might, but it doesn't. So when you put this on there, it's like putting your fingers directly on the hot glue, and it burns the crap out of your fingers. Please don't do that at home. Nobody likes third-degree burns on their fingers. It's just a thing. Okay, there it is. All right, I did it. Yay, there's the thing. And I'm just going to take the mermaid tail here and use that to press that tab down a little bit. There we go. Let me go. Okay. Yay. And there you go. And then I'm just going to cut off some waffle box part here and just glue that on there so that the sides are covered as well. And I'm going to go back through and brick this stuff up just like I did with the tile pieces. You remember the tile pieces that we put together? They were so neat. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and brick it up like this here. This is exactly what I'm going to do on here, and believe it or not, on here. But we haven't gotten to that point yet. We're going to do all that here in a minute. And I'm not even going to go over that with you guys because we already did it on these tiles. Watch my previous video to see how that goes. But yeah, we're going to make it look like this on the stairs and everything else, and even on this. And then we'll add the popsicle sticks to it and cause some cool stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the wall making, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's a wall piece. So here's the stairs we made, right? And here's the wall. I glued it on there. I kind of messed it up a little bit, but that's all right. I fixed it with the second wall, but I didn't like the way I cut it because I messed that up, but it's all right. No big deal. I'll fix that too. But what it looks like is this. So, you know, you need to pause it and take a look at it and examine it, whatever. I don't care. Yeah, let me show you what I'm gonna do. So from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take my handy dandy X-Acto knife here and just slice it all up on the lines. These lines right here, I'm not gonna do anything with. They're gonna stay solid. The reason I wanted them to be there is because I needed to know how far 2 spaces was, because that's how big this hazard in the middle is going to be. So if you take these 2 spaces here, that's going to be the wall section. So what you're looking at here with this piece right here is you're looking at this little wall edge right around this tile. So if you look at the tile right here, so I can get a good shot of it. So you're looking at this wall edge right here around the outside, and there's going to be a hole in the middle, and that's exactly what I'm creating with this. That's the hole that you're seeing there. So that's what I'm going to do. So mine's going to be a little bit sloppy because, yeah, I didn't really have all the bugs worked out, but whatever, I do now. And that's all that matters. So what you do here is you're going to take this bad boy like this, and I'm just going to, like I said before, I'm just going to stripe it along the black lines very carefully, because I don't want to cut through this if I don't have to. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fold this on those black lines. And this right here, with those folds, makes a little box. See how that makes a little box? So this line right here is one part of the box. So basically what we did was we just put 2 little boxes together. Now these ones here that I cut at an angle like this on the edge, these are tabs. And I'm going to glue those tabs onto the back side of this right here. See what I mean? Are you following me on this one at all? And then when I go to fold this together, so the tabs will go underneath. So you see one side's got the square lines and the other one's got the tabs. And then you fold it together like this. And then you glue this flap right here to that tab. Ooh, look at that. And you get yourself a little bit of a wall section. And you can use this to do all kinds of things. Talk to my old friends over there at the paper crafting website, and they will tell you that this is kind of like the foundation piece to just about every dang thing you want it to be. It could be a walkway, it could be a freaking wall, it could be part of a building structure, it could be part of anything. This is just a standard paper craft building platform. There you go. Ta-da! Now you could use Elmer's glue for this, and you probably should use Elmer's glue for this, but as a true glutton of punishment, I'm just gonna hot glue this bad boy. So you just take a little bit of hot glue right here and stick it there, and then you stick it onto there like this. You guys watching carefully, because I am gonna burn the crap out of myself. I can feel it. I can feel the 3rd-degree burns coming. And all you're going to do is make 4 of these. And then you come over here and you're going to take this piece here and you're just going to glue it like that. Ta-da! So it'll look like that. Right? Just ignore this piece. It's this one. This one? No. This one? Yes. And that's what we do. Then you take this and you put some hot glue on it like this. Ta-da! And you just splorch it on here like that. Make sure that the top parts are even and flush like that. The bottom doesn't have to be so big a deal, because we're gonna fix that all up in a minute. Make it all partyful. Down below there's gonna be like creepy stuff, and creepy stuff is good because we like creepy stuff. That's what this is all about, right? This hazard is going to be something eeky and awful down there, and you don't want to fall down there. So yeah, so it'll look like that when you're done. You won't have this though if you did it right. It's the joy of building stuff on the fly. Okay, so here we have what it looks like. I'm gonna cap that off, and you won't see it like that. So here we have what it looks like. Let's do it on this side because it looks a little better. There you go. It looks a little better. A little bit. This is just the raw form now. And now what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna make this exactly like we made, right? We're gonna do the exact same thing to this that we did to this. And I'm gonna do that. Now, if you need to, go to the other video and watch how we made this. Go ahead and do that. And the next time you see it, it's gonna be all spruce and juice like that. Ready? Here we go. Yeah, see? It's almost done. I just gotta put all these individual little bricks all over the tiles that I created for right here. Other than that, no, I got it all bricked in and everything. And this is all the junk that I've been using for the last, I don't know, day or two, week or two to build this, which is really sad because this should only have taken a few hours, but I have never had more than a few minutes, you know, or like an hour or two to put into it at any one given moment in time. So yeah, it's taken way longer than it should have. Okay, my people, it is completely bricked in. As you can see, I've done all the work to it now before I'm going to paint it. And then again, the painting is just going to end up just like all the other tiles. I did use a little bit of the liquid green stuff here to fill in the gaps. And I did that because, you know, some parts were kind of a little warped out and sticking on the side. And, yeah, whatever, you can do that. You don't have to do that. It's fine. And as you can see with these little tiles right here, I have the big tiles. These tiles are basically the regular tiles that I have right here. And what I did was I literally just cut them into quarters. And that's what I used to make this side over here. To give these guys textures, what I'm doing is I'm using this tool here and I'm just scratching lines down through them like cracks and crevices or crevices or however you want to say it. If you look right here, you can see where I've done that on this piece here. And that just gives it more texture when I hit it with the dry brush. And you can see that I've done that. And I'm going to go through and do that on all the side here. And I figured I would show you guys that before I got it all painted up. Where I just basically line through here as hard as I can with this tool here without cutting through the actual cardboard. I'm going to do that. And then on the inside here, now there's going to be some water flow in this piece here. So I'm going to put like river stones in here. And literally all I'm going to do is I'm going to just, I'm going to use this technique right here, but instead of using these bricks cut in brick shape, I'm just going to use circles. You just cut them in random amorphous circles, and then we're going to glue them together on the inside here like river stone. And then I'm going to paint this whole area up gray, and it's going to look like river stone. And I'm going to have some muck from underneath here kind of coming up there. We're going to put some river flow through here with some toothpicks and other stuff to make it look like, you know, there's a flow of water coming underneath here. And I want to do that on purpose because, again, in the actual tile that this comes from, you see that hazard. I'm going to make it very hazardous. Okay, so here we have it. The actual piece is done as far as just all the painting and all of that. So you can see I did the side exactly the same way as I did all the rest of the tiles, but I scratched the stuff on the side. So you can see the markings there, just with the scratching the surface. And then here, what I've done is I've added, I just, like I said, I was going to put the little circle tiles inside there, and I just cut into circles, glued them on there. Hit them with a gray dry brush. I hit them with the base color on those guys. I think it was just like a basic contrast paint. It was the Leviathan blue. And then I dry brushed it with the same gray that I've been dry brushing everything with. And that's what that looks like. And then the reason why it looks kind of shiny and gooey down inside there, which is exactly what I wanted, was because I used a little bit of a Reichland Flesh Shade gloss. Now, gloss is cool. If you've never used gloss before, that's actually a pretty cool substance. It's not technically a paint. It acts more like a wash, so it kind of just washes over everything. But when it dries, it kind of has this sort of sticky, wet, shiny look to it, which is the same effect can be achieved with contrast paints. If you do too many contrast paints, or if you paint something too many times with Agrax Earthshade, you'll see that it has kind of like a shiny glossiness to it. So if you wanted to make the blood shiny, you could hit it with a gloss, or like I have the Reichland Flesh Shade as a gloss. I could hit that with a gloss, and it would make it shiny and wet and gooey looking. I don't really want to do that. I am a huge proponent of enough is enough. You know what I mean? This is not something that's going to be Golden Demon. I'm not trying to enter any contests with this. I just want to make it cool on the table, and so because of that, we are tabletop standard. Ta-da! You know, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. So like I scratch runes and stuff. I don't know if you can see it. I like scratch runes and things like into the scratch marks, so you can actually put like secret messages and fun stuff in there. Ooh, fun stuff. The camera's having a really hard time with this. But yeah, so as you can see, I got the gooey, softy, gooey bits on the bottom there. And that's exactly what I was going for, is I think that shiny river stone look. And that's fine. It's not great, but it does the job. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this bad boy over. And we're going to punch some holes in here. Pump, 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 pump. And we're going to put in some toothpicks. And we're going to cut those off so that they're nice and level with this whole area right here. And the reason we're going to do that is because those are going to be the poles or the pipes that stick through the sewer that we're going to be putting in there. And what I'm going to do now is cut out a flat of cardboard that I'm going to glue onto the bottom. Bang. And when I do that, I'm going to add a whole bunch of hot glue down inside here and make it look like sewer water is running through here and out the grates on the side. Because that's going to be cute. I like that. And then one of the things that I thought would be really fun to do, because this is supposed to be a hazard and stuff like that, I have these leftover bits from the ghouls and the monsters that I created for Games Workshop. So I'm just gonna like stick a couple of hands coming up out of the gooey bits. And are they severed arms floating by, or are they something much more nefarious? Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I thought that would be kind of fun to do. And then we'll go on to actually building the bridge work here on the top that goes over the top part. And that'll be fun too. All right. So here we are looking at the bottom side of the piece. So here's the hazard dealio, right? And we're going to create the water flowing around down underneath here. Okay, so what we got going on here is I got this little cardboard that I just cut it out, and it's going to glue in right here. And this is just going to be the bottom piece. So we're going to... Normally you would put like texture and things like on here to kind of give it the same river stone treatment that you have in here. But you know what? This is going to be covered by gunk anyway, and there's really no point in doing any of that. Okay, so set that aside. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to have a bunch of toothpicks. So these toothpicks right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my specialty tool that I put away, because why wouldn't I? Oh man, this is what it's like working in a Turkish prison. Okay, I had to shove all my paints back a little bit here, because I only have a very small area to work in. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to take these toothpicks here, and I'm going to use this tool right here to punch a hole, pop, 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 and I'm going to stick the toothpicks down inside there and then just cut them off. And then that's going to be the bars that I need to create the pieces that I need. So if you want to watch me do that, here we go. And I'm just going to cut it off with a pair of scissors. Or actually I have these. This is a thing you use to cut the models out of their frames with. Alrighty then. And this doesn't have to be like perfectly measured or anything. I know there are some people who will probably be like, no, it must be perfectly done every time in every way. But you know what? Like I said, man, enough is good enough. And isn't that what Mary Poppins says? Something along those lines. And that's really what you want here. You want to just make it good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through here, now that I got all these toothpicks in there, and I'm just going to kind of use the clippy tool to do that. Just like that. And I got these toothpicks at the dollar store. So, you know, anybody can pick them up cheap. They're toothpicks. And these don't have to be perfect either. You have to be able to put the cardboard over the top. Like that. That's all we have to do is put the cardboard there. And it looks like I am good on that front. So that way when you flip it over, it looks like that. See how cool that is? Oh, look how cool that is. That's just the coolest thing ever. Okay, so when we put that down like that, it's gonna look like this, and there's gonna be, yeah, some stuff. All right, so there we go. So I'm gonna have that come down so that it's nice and tight. Perfect. And one of the things you'll notice is that I made it so that the cardboard down on the edge there is slopping over just a little bit, because that's going to give the hot glue some runoff, and then we'll trim that off when we're done. I know you're excited. Okay, so now for the interesting part. What we're going to do here is we're going to texturize this. And how are we going to texturize this? Well, that is a very good question. What we're going to do is we're going to take a lot of glue. Elmer's glue. Like this, and we're just gonna schmorch it on here. And we're just gonna pour sand over it. And the more smorchyful the glue is on here, the more sand will texturize things and make it cute. It'll make it cute. And I'm not overly concerned with any of this stuff, because all this is going to be covered by hot glue anyway. So now I got this big, huge, schmorchy thing of glue, and I'm going to use my sand trick. I'm just going to take this thing of sand and pour it over my lovely piece of cardboard. Try not to spill it all over the floor, because this stuff really jacks up your floors. Alright, because you're going to get it on the floor, and inevitably it's going to end up under the leg of your chair, and then you're going to scoot back, and you're going to grind one of these little rocks into your tile, or whatever it is you've got, your hardwood floor or whatever, and you just see instant scratching. Now we're going to take this guy right here, this hand. I can't even get it to focus, but whatever, who cares? You'll see in a minute. And I'm going to clip off a part of it to make it flat, like this. I'm just going to grab this bad boy here and go, and then just stick it down on there with regular Elmer's glue, believe it or not, because I'm going to throw some hot glue on here anyway. And we're going to go through and paint it all up. So you just stick it down like that, and then just push the sand around it. And now, again, for one of the harder parts of this whole thing, oh, we have to let it dry. I'm probably going to put a few more of these hands on here, coming up out of the raw, you know, kind of like rawing out of the sand and muck. Make it look more hazardy. And again, I'm just going to put a thin layer of hot glue over the top of this and paint it like muck water. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool. You'll see what I mean. Just interestingly enough, when I was going through and editing out my footage here, for whatever reason, I decided not to film any part of putting together the hazard piece, where I had laid down the rocks, and then I literally just glued on a bunch of zombie hands, and then I covered the whole thing in hot glue. Then I painted it with a really light, kind of almost white brown color, and then I hit it with that Reichland Flesh Shade Gloss, which is really hard to say more than once. Reichland Flesh Shade Gloss. There we go. And then it kind of looked like this swampy, mucky nastiness. Unfortunately, all I can show you here is pictures, because all of the video footage either disappeared or I just never did it, because awesome me. So here you have it. This is what it looks like. Yay, me. All right. Then all I did was flip the model over and glue that monster right to the bottom with a bunch of hot glue. And that is the hazard. And this is what it looks like. Okay, moving on to the bridge work. Okay, so here we have the final piece here. One of these popsicle sticks here that I got from the dollar store. And I just busted it into 3 pieces. The way I was able to get it so cleanly done is by using a pair of scissors. So I'm just going to glue these together, And I have a video where I basically make this for Warcry, and I will link to that in the video description below if you want to see how I did it. So, as you can see here, what I've done is that you take the top pieces here and you lay them upside down, and you put the bottom pieces across. But I actually measured it out on the bottom here, so it's 1.5 inches this way and 1.5 inches that way. So it creates this 1.5 inch square that you would normally use to walk around on the tile. So there's actually 2 squares here, and that's why I measured those out carefully. I wanted to show you that before I put it together, and that way you can see that's why I did it that way. Because I'm gonna jack up the top pieces a little bit, kind of have them at a slight angle or whatever, just to make it look more rickety and jaggedy. And the reason I did that, again, but you're using the bottom pieces, the cross pieces here, to delineate the spaces that your heroes will need to use to get across the hazard. But you want to try to make it look as rickety as you possibly can. And I'll show you some more tricks with that in just a minute. Okay, so here we have it. I went ahead and just glued it together like this. And so you see here, because I put them at a slight angle, so what I did was I took the piece, and so from here to here, hard to do this on camera. So from here to here, you'll see that this is actually 1.5 inches, and then from here to here is 1.5 inches, because I kicked it at an angle. On this side, I kicked it down a little bit this way, and on the upper sides here, I kicked it in just a little bit, because you can see there's the lines that I used to create. Actually, this one's right on the line, but this one here I kicked in just a little bit. So, but this is sitting on 1.5 inch mark here and here, and it's sitting on 1.5 inch mark here and here. So when I flip it over, you have this rickety looking bridge, but it's actually marked exactly where the heroes need to stand. And so what I'm also going to do is when I go ahead and stripe this up with the X-Acto knife or the hobby knife, I'm going to go ahead and mark it off here and here, like make it some hard cut marks in the wood. So that way when I go ahead and stain it with the like the Gorgruntifer or whatever I use to make the wood look all gross and woody, I'm going to do that and it's going to mark the squares that they need to be in. So that way you know how to move across this thing, and then it takes 2 movements to get there. So yeah, and if you end up stopping on this thing, bad stuff can happen. Okay. Woo. Now I'm going to make another one of these to go across the top of the model. So it'll look like this. So there's the gooey hand sticking up out of the slimy muck. And then, then we'll have this guy just go blam right across the top of that like that. Now, I'm going to leave mine separate, so that way I can take it off. And that way, if I want to, I can even do something like this. Because that's awful, right? To have to traverse it that way. Because then you have to be... my fingers. Because then you have to be in this square here, and then traverse it this way to that square there. And yeah, or you could like try to jump it, and there can be special rules or whatever. Or if you don't want any special rules, you just think this is cool and you want to have it in your board, you can do that too. And then in that case, you could just glue this down. Once you get it all painted up, you just glue it down so that it doesn't come off. And that way you don't have to worry about it like getting lost or whatever. Because, you know, storage is a thing. Storage is a thing. We all got to think about that when we're making huge terrain pieces. You know, where are we going to put the stuff when we're not playing? Yeah, and so that's how I'm going to use this right here. And I'm just going to paint this up in the same way that I did with the other one. And I say the other one. It's the other video that I used to make these rickety bridges. But yeah, so then I'm going to make another one of these so it sits right here. So there'll be 2 of them if I want to do that, or if I want to just have the one. I think I like the one. I think that's better. I think that just looks awful to have to traverse that. Just like somebody randomly threw a bunch of ranky plank boards over the top of this. What the hell? Anyway, yeah. All right. So moving on. And here we have it. The 2 finished pieces as far as before I paint them. And that's what they look like. And that's what they're going to look like. And yay. And then I have them set up so that I can just remove them, you know, if I want to, or if somebody falls down in there, or I can, you know, just use one, or, you know, both, or however I want to do it, you know. But as long as we have them set up here, Yeah, it's easy peasy pumpkin pie. These are probably the easiest things to build in the entire part. But I just want to point out one more time, this is probably the best point to actually remind you that good enough. You know what I mean? Don't spend hours, perfecting this, unless you really want to. I mean, unless you're like all into like the whole golden demon, gotta make it perfect, look amazing kind of thing. Otherwise just get it on the table and play, because that's really ultimately what this is all about, right? And just having the play time. And you don't even need all those extra little bits like the hands and the goo and all that stuff. You just have like a hazard on the table. So now when my guys go across here, they're gonna have the hazard of maybe they're gonna fall through. You got to be careful when you jump across this thing, because it's wet, it's slippery. And when there's zombies chasing you and vampires flying down out of the sky and Vargeist crashing up through the stones and things, I mean, you don't really think about the fact that you're gonna traverse these rickety old boards that are just gonna fall into oblivion. So anyway, I'll get this thing all painted up, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the end. Because all I'm going to do with this is, like I said with the other video, I'm just going to stain this, and that's going to be done. That's good enough. I don't even care. It'll look fantastic just with the stain. And if I want to, I might hit it with the dry brush of the gray that I use on here, just to give it the same look. And in fact, I probably will. I'll probably just give it a quick dusting of the gray, and then it'll all be done. So from here, I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And we'll give you the whole flyby with all the models on it and having it look all cute. Okay, so one other thing that I want to talk about here really quickly before we go ahead and do the whole here. How cool is this thing? And there they are, painted up. In the game, The Cursed City, these tiles and movement is everything for your little duders. So, like, this guy right here is Jelson, what's-his-face? And he's supposed to move, you have to roll the dice to be able to move, and he has a certain move action. And they all do, right? And so, movement on the tiles is a big deal in this game. And so when you make something like this, it is huge. It is a very large piece, and adding an element where they might get hung up for a turn or two can be an enormous factor in the game, because there is an endless spell that is removing tiles from the game each turn. It progresses and it eats more tiles, and so the heroes have a very limited amount of time to get through the little dungeon mazes that you create for them. And so anything that can hang them up or slow them down or cause problems for them is going to be an enormous factor. Now this guy here is technically one piece. So that means that if the endless spell of death is here and your heroes are here, on the next turn, are they going to be able to make it all the way across fighting, whatever they may run across on the other side? And so just by making this one giant piece, you are creating a difficulty factor for the game that may be game breaking. So I've created some different rules that allow for movement. Like for instance, I created a rule, it's called a vaulting attack, where they can spend a certain amount of points to do a vaulting attack. It's basically where you just basically stab a dude and then fly by him, or use him to kind of catapult yourself an extra move, and that kind of stuff. I do that because I create these really big pieces, and they need to be able to continue moving. I also have like an attack and run kind of thing that they can do, and then there's certain movements that they can use to kind of get extra space because of this sort of thing. But if you don't want to do that, then may I suggest that you can very easily just cut this all the way down on all these pieces here and here, right? And just make these modular. And so then you can spin them in any direction. So when the endless spell comes, it'll hit this piece here, and that's a tile, and then this is a tile, and then this is a tile. So you have 3 extra turns to get across this thing that you wouldn't have if it was just one solid piece. And because I've made this one solid piece, I have extra rules for these guys to be able to move and do things, especially because my maps can get pretty large. And I like that. That's just my aesthetic. And I like having fun elements to the game where you really have to think about hard. Do I want to attack these guys, or do I want to just run like a mad fool? And so, and of course, I also have the endless hordes kind of thing going on as well in my game, where there's actually these creationary points in the Cursed City, and they just continuously pump out a specific type of bad guy, whether it's skeletons or zombies or ghouls or any number of Gribblies. And I have Skaven in my game too, because why wouldn't there be Skaven here? There would be tons of Skaven here. So we actually have, it was created by my friend Jess, and she's the one that came up with the idea that we should have a flesh eater court down in the sewers, battling it out with Skaven, and you have to manage that battle, kind of help one side or the other to kind of keep them in balance. Otherwise, the flesh eater court starts taking over the city, or the Skaven can come spilling out of the dungeons, and the last thing anybody needs is a rat ogre crashing around the city. Anyway, so kind of Vermintides. So that is definitely something that you need to think about when you're making these pieces, is how are my characters and monsters and Gribblies going to fight over these pieces so that I don't make something that is going to effectively game break, as it were. Like, I made an impossible piece of terrain that nothing can get through. Because that can be pretty game ruining pretty fast when all your heroes run up to something and all just get caught and die. So yeah, something to think about. So here's a side-by-side, the original game tile and the piece that I created to be that tile. Only I added, I doubled it. Did I double it? Yeah, I doubled it. I doubled the size of the tile to make it cooler. So yeah, there you go. And now the hazard is complete. So the way I would run this is that when the heroes are going across this, they need to roll their little dice there, and if they get a success, then they get across it with a regular movement. If they roll a critical success, then they can kind of vault across it and move again as normal. And I think that would be kind of a good way to do it, so that way they do it. But if they don't get a critical success or a success, then that means that something went wrong and they fell. And then you have to create some sort of a doom and gloom sort of, ooh, they fell down there and now bad stuff is happening, whether they get diseased or attacked, or, whether they're diseased and attacked. And so, yeah, that could be fun. It could be a lot of fun. Also, they're going to lose turns when they fall down in there. They lose like D3 turns or something. Or no, I wouldn't do that. That would be bad. D3 turns, geez, 3 turns of just sitting in a hole. Yeah, that would end badly. Just something where they get slowed down, like their movement stops. I think that's better to do. So like they would run across here, and I'm just kind of brainstorming as I go here. So what I'm just saying is they would run across here, roll for success. If they didn't get a success, they fell down inside there, and it would just slow them down for a turn. So that's basically, they would just stop and fall in there, and then have to climb out and be all covered in goo and muck and nasty, and maybe got attacked by a couple of zombies or something. And I don't know, something simple, nothing too crazy, because again, like I said, movement in this game is everything, and they have to keep moving, because if they don't, they're gonna die. Okay, it's time for the cool flyby thing. Cue really cool music. Okay, it's time for the cool flyby thing. Cue really cool music. You're lucky. You're so lucky that I'm not actually gonna put. Actually, I am. I'm putting all this on the end.